Hi submarine friends. Well, somebody's asked me to make a video on how to make a CO2 scrubber for your homemade submarine. So this is one that I made. I've made several, but this is the one that I still have, and it works just fantastic. Now, I like to make the scrubber small, and the reason is a typical dive is only a couple hours at the most. I mean, it depends on who it is and what you're doing, but I find that's the most I need. So what happens is if you build a really big scrubber, you fill it up with the media, like the absorbent material, and you don't know what to do with the material because, you know, if you build a scrubber that's good for 12 hours and you only use it for 2, if you throw that absorbent away, it gets expensive. Now what we typically do is we put it inside a plastic bag, seal it until the next time we dive, but you have to keep track of how much time you have on the scrubber unless you buy absorbent that has an indicating absorbent, which turns purple when it's spent. So anyways, how to make the scrubber. So this scrubber started its life out as a charcoal filter that you would buy for a greenhouse or something like that. So I make my own top, so let's just forget about this for a minute. So the way the scrubber works, let me just put this back on, let me back up here. So the way it works, you fill this void right here with the absorbent, and it's just this, it looks like kitty litter almost, or rice. So you put that in there, then you close it up, and this fan, this is just an inexpensive Amazon fan. Some people use the computer fan. It's basically a computer fan, but this is like a miniature squirrel cage fan, and it draws air from the outside through that absorbent material, and then it comes up. The air comes up through the center here. So you get really even exposure to the absorbent. Now, don't be tempted to put a big giant fan on here because fast airflow is not what you want. You want a nice, steady, slow airflow to allow the CO2 to be absorbed by the absorbent. So they call it dwell time. So you don't want it to be too fast and you don't want it to be too slow. So you have to kind of play with it, but if you build it like this with your basic fan like this, you'll be fine. So what you get, this is what you get when you buy the charcoal filter, and all you do is you remove the top, which is riveted on, and you throw the top away. Well, I do. I guess you could reuse it. But then I put a house screen from your window around the inner core and around the outer core, or the body here, but on the inside, because the media will fall through these holes. So you want to put a screen on both surfaces, and then this one has a filter material as well that came with the charcoal filter, and I just reused it over top of the screen. So you fill this thing up, put the top back on, and you're in business. So all I did, now I have a metal lathe here, and I collect all kinds of scrap aluminum every time I go to the dump and I find some aluminum, I bring it home. So I was able to make this nice, beautiful, fancy schmancy aluminum top. But I mean, people make it out of MDF plywood, whatever. It could be a thick piece of plastic, whatever. Your goal is to seal the fan to the center part here so that when you put it on, it's nicely sealed. And then all I did is I got a couple of these rubber latches to hold the lid on. And that's it. I have a plug connector here so I can unplug it to remove it from the submarine to replace the absorbent. It's really that simple. I mean, you can make a plywood box and drill holes in it, All you're trying to do is get air movement through the absorbent. And you just buy the absorbent, the same stuff that these guys use for the rebreather scuba diving. I don't know if it's called scuba diving when it's a rebreather. I don't know. They probably have proper names for it, and I'm probably butchering it. They're probably going to be mad at me now. But that's okay. So buy yourself a cheap fan, 10 bucks, 15 bucks, whatever. I think this was about 40 bucks. These rubber straps, you can do anything to secure the top on. You can use a bungee cord, whatever. So the scrubber is really a cheap, simple part of your life support system. Actually, the whole life support system is really inexpensive. It's actually pretty darn simple, but you have to be very, very careful with it. You can't, it's something you have to really monitor. And when you used to be able to buy plans, well, you still can buy the plans for Kittredge submarine. They're very famous submarine plans. And George Kittredge, Captain George Kittredge, actually never put life support systems in the submarines. I'm not sure why. I suspect it's because it's a level of complication that maybe should be left alone. And so his idea was you would just dive the submarine for 45 minutes or an hour and come to the surface, exchange the air, and go back down. I like to have the life support system just in case I get stuck down there. I have a paranoia about being stuck on the bottom of the lake, and I want to have time to deal with the situation and not stress about running out of air. So I like to have 72 hours of bottom time if I need it. Shallow sub like this though, you just wait for daylight and ditch. But anyways, that's the scrubber. So today my wife is going away, so I have the whole place to myself so I can make a lot of noise and stink. So it's been driving me really bananas how ugly it is inside the submarine from doing all this work to it. It needs a new paint job. And all the things that I've cut out to make the changes, it's not that many things, but I need to grind those things off, which is noisy and stinky. It's a really warm day today for November here, so I'm going to open the shop doors, crank up the wood stove, and grind all that stuff, blow it all outside. So today's a perfect day to clean up the interior and so I can repaint it. So tomorrow I want to repaint the inside because it really bugs me the way it looks. I just hate it. I want it to be nice and fresh and clean when I work in there. So that's the plan. Grinding today so tomorrow I can paint. And tomorrow's going to be another warm day, so it's a good day to paint because I can open up the doors and let it vent out. Anyways, that's all I got to report today. Wish me luck. Ciao.